One wrong click, that's all it took to shatter Liam Carter's invisible existence. Or save it. When his mouse slipped into a folder marked Personal on his boss's computer, he saw something he was never meant to see. Private photos, intimate moments, the kind of thing that could end a career in a heartbeat. But what happened next wasn't a firing. It was a test he didn't know he was taking. A question that would haunt him for months. Do you think I'm pretty? If you want to see how an ordinary man's accidental discovery led to the most intense chapter of his life, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city. I want to see how far this story travels. The fluorescent lights in Building C hummed their usual tired song at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday. That felt like every other Thursday in Liam Carter's life. He sat in his cramped IT cubicle on the basement level, nursing his third cup of burnt coffee and ignoring the slight tremor in his hands that had become his body's default setting. Exhaustion wasn't just a state anymore. It was his baseline, his normal, the thing he woke up with and went to bed with and carried through every hour in between. Single parenting a 7-year-old while maintaining the entire network infrastructure for a Fortune 500 company and surviving on 4 hours of sleep had a way of redefining what fine meant. And Liam had accepted long ago that fine was the best he could hope for. His phone buzzed against the chipped laminate desk. Unknown internal extension. IT support, this is Liam. Mr. Carter. The voice on the other end was clipped, precise, the kind of executive floor precision that made even simple words sound like commands. This is Victoria Hale's office. Ms. Hale requires immediate technical assistance. 18th floor, corner office. How quickly can you be here? Liam glanced at his watch, the cheap digital one with the cracked face that he kept meaning to replace. His daughter Mia was at his sister's place until 11. He had time. Barely. 15 minutes. 10 would be better. The line went dead before Liam could respond. He grabbed his toolkit, a battered laptop bag that had seen better days, and headed for the elevator, his worn sneakers squeaking against the polished marble that marked the transition from worker floors to executive territory. He'd been in this building for 6 years and had never gone above the 12th floor. The 18th was a different world, one he only knew from company emails and the occasional glimpse of Victoria Hale striding through the lobby like she owned the air itself, which, technically, she kind of did. The elevator doors opened to a hushed corridor of dark wood paneling and recessed lighting that probably cost more per square foot than Liam's entire apartment. Everything smelled like money and leather, and the particular brand of confidence that came from never having to check a price tag. Liam followed the corridor to the corner where a massive oak door stood slightly ajar. He knocked. "Come in." Her voice carried even through the thick wood. The office was ridiculous in that way only executive offices could be. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's glittering sprawl like a kingdom laid out for inspection. The desk was bigger than Liam's kitchen table. Abstract art that probably cost more than his annual salary, maybe 2 years' salary, hung on walls the color of expensive charcoal. And behind that enormous desk sat Victoria Hale, still in a crisp white blouse despite the late hour, her dark hair pulled back in a way that suggested complete control over every detail of her existence. She looked up from a stack of papers, and Liam felt the full weight of her attention land on him like a physical thing. He'd seen her before, of course, in meetings where he sat in the back taking notes, in passing as she moved through the building with that particular executive stride that made lesser mortals step aside, but never this close. Never in a space where it was just the two of them and silence. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming up so quickly." "No problem. What seems to be the issue?" She gestured at her computer with visible frustration, the first crack in her otherwise perfect composure. "It froze during a video conference. I tried forcing a shutdown, but nothing's responding. I have files I need to access tonight." Liam approached the desk, acutely aware of how his worn jeans and faded tech company t-shirt clashed with the room's calculated elegance. He could smell her perfume as he got closer, something subtle and expensive that probably had a French name. "May I?" She stood, moving aside with the fluid grace of someone who'd never questioned her right to occupy space. "Please." Liam slid into her chair, still warm from her body heat, which his brain noted and immediately tried to forget, and assessed the frozen screen. Conference software locked up mid-call, cursor dead, The whole system hung in that particular way that meant a hard restart was inevitable. I'll need to force a reboot. You might lose whatever wasn't saved in the last few minutes. Do what you need to do. He held the power button until the screen went black, then waited through the reboot sequence while Victoria stood behind him. Close enough that he could hear the quiet rhythm of her breathing. Close enough that his stupid, sleep-deprived brain kept trying to calculate the exact distance between them. Focus on the boot screen, he told himself. Not on the fact that a woman worth more than most small countries is standing 3 feet behind you, watching you perform basic tech support. The system came back up, login screen. I'll need your password, or I can step out while you... Hail 2024, capital H, no spaces. Interesting. Most executives made him leave the room for that part. The fact that she didn't suggested either tremendous trust or complete confidence that he was too insignificant to pose a threat. He typed it in. The desktop loaded, and Liam couldn't help but notice how immaculately organized it was. Folders labeled by project, date, priority, color-coded. The woman didn't just live in systems, she was systems. Okay, everything looks stable now. Let me just check your recent files to make sure nothing corrupted during the crash. Go ahead. Liam opened her File Explorer. The folders appeared in neat rows: documents, projects, financials, legal, personal. His cursor hovered over personal for half a second, maybe less. But muscle memory took over before his conscious brain could intervene. Click. The folder opened, and Liam's entire world stopped. The screen filled with thumbnails. Photos. Victoria, but not the Victoria standing 3 feet behind him. This Victoria wore soft lighting and softer expressions, her face unguarded in a way that made her look younger, almost vulnerable. In one image, she sat on what looked like a hotel balcony at sunset, wrapped in a robe, hair loose around her shoulders. In another, she lay across rumpled sheets, laughing at something off camera, wearing nothing but a tank top and the kind of genuine joy Liam hadn't seen on anyone's face in years. There were dozens of them. Private moments captured in that space between public persona and actual human being, intimate without being explicit, personal in a way that made Liam's chest tighten with the sudden, horrible understanding that he was seeing something not meant for him, something that existed in the safe, locked space of her private life. His hand moved to close the folder, but his reflexes were operating on a 3-second delay. That's when he heard her sharp intake of breath. Liam's entire body went rigid. The mouse slipped from his fingers and clattered against the desk. He didn't turn around. Couldn't turn around. Just sat there staring at the screen while his career, his livelihood, every single thing he'd built over 6 years flashed before his eyes in vivid, horrifying detail. I'm sorry. The words came out strangled, barely recognizable as his own voice. I didn't mean to. I was just checking for corrupted files. I clicked the wrong... Stand up. Her voice was ice. Arctic. The kind of cold that burned on contact. Liam stood slowly, still not looking at her. His toolkit felt impossibly heavy in his suddenly weak grip. Turn around. He turned. Victoria Hale stood 5 feet away, arms crossed, her expression completely unreadable. Not angry, exactly. Not embarrassed. Something else entirely. Something calculating and sharp that made Liam feel like a specimen under glass, being examined for qualities he didn't know he possessed. They stood there for what felt like an hour but was probably 15 seconds. The city lights threw shadows across her face, making her expression even harder to read. Liam could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears like a drum. Then she asked the question that would rewrite everything. Do you think I'm pretty? Liam's brain short-circuited. Of all the things he'd expected, yelling, termination, a lawsuit, security escorting him from the building, this wasn't even on the list of possibilities. What? It's a simple question. She took a step closer. Her eyes hadn't left his face, hadn't blinked. You just saw photos of me that no one outside my very small circle has ever seen. Photos I take for myself when I'm not performing this. She gestured at her office, her suit, the whole executive package. So I'm asking, do you think I'm pretty? This was a trap. Had to be. Every corporate sensitivity training he'd ever dozed through suddenly seemed desperately relevant, flashing warning signs in his oxygen-deprived brain. Ms. Hale, I really didn't mean to... Answer the question, Mr. Carter. The room felt airless. Liam's mouth was so dry he could barely form words. Yes. he said quietly, the truth scraping out of him like broken glass. You're beautiful, but I shouldn't have seen those photos. It was an accident, and I apologize. An accident. She said it like she was testing the weight of the word, rolling it around to see if it fit. You accidentally opened a folder clearly labeled personal while looking for work files? I wasn't thinking, I just clicked. It was stupid. Stupid, she repeated. Then something shifted in her expression. Not quite a crack in the ice, but a hairline fracture. Do you know what most men would do in your position, Mr. Carter? Liam shook his head, not trusting his voice. They'd lie. Tell me they didn't see anything, or they'd make a joke, try to diffuse the tension with humor, or they'd stand there and make it weird by explaining, in great detail, exactly why those photos were inappropriate to stumble across, thereby making themselves look like the victims of my poor folder management. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. You did none of those things. You immediately apologized and told the truth. Why? Because I messed up. And you deserve to know I messed up. Victoria was quiet for a long moment, her dark eyes searching his face for something he couldn't name. Get out of my office, Mr. Carter. Relief flooded through him so fast it made him dizzy. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry again for... Be here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. I have a project that requires your specific skills. Liam blinked. Tomorrow was Saturday. Tomorrow's the weekend. Is that a problem? Everything about this was a problem, but Liam needed this job more than he needed dignity, more than he needed weekends or sleep or any of the things normal people took for granted. No problem. 7 a.m. Good. And Mr. Carter? She moved back behind her desk, settling into her chair with the kind of controlled grace that suggested the conversation was over on her terms, not his. Those photos stay in this room. Tell anyone, and I mean anyone, what you saw, and I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Are we clear? Crystal clear. Then I'll see you in the morning. Liam grabbed his toolkit and walked out of that office on legs that felt made of water. He made it to the elevator before his hands started shaking properly. Made it to his car before the adrenaline crash hit like a freight train, and made it all the way to his sister's house before he could form a coherent thought beyond, what the hell just happened? Mia was asleep on Jamie's couch when Liam arrived, her small body curled around a stuffed elephant that had seen better days, better years, really. The thing was held together with duct tape and denial at this point, but Mia refused to sleep without it. His sister looked up from her laptop, took one look at his face, and raised an eyebrow. Rough night? You have no idea. Coffee's fresh. You look like you need it. Liam scooped Mia into his arms. She barely stirred, just mumbled something that might have been pancakes, and burrowed into his shoulder and shook his head. Can't. Gotta get her to bed. But thanks for watching her. Any time. You know that. Jamie stood, stretching in that way that made her joints pop audibly. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Or your boss. Sometimes, same thing in your line of work. The irony of that statement almost made Liam laugh. Just tired, long day. She didn't buy it. Jamie never bought it. But she let it go, which was one of the things Liam loved about his sister. Okay, hey, we still on for the park Sunday? Yeah, definitely. Liam carried Mia out to his beat-up Honda, buckled her into the car seat she was rapidly outgrowing, and drove home through empty streets. His mind kept replaying that moment on an endless loop. Victoria's face when she'd seen what was on the screen, the way she'd asked if he thought she was pretty, like the answer actually mattered, like she genuinely needed to know, the trap of it all. Because that's what it was, right? Some kind of test he'd either passed or failed, and he wouldn't know which until tomorrow morning. He got Mia into bed without waking her, a skill he'd perfected over 7 years of single parenthood, moving through the familiar routine of removing shoes and tucking blankets with the efficiency of practice. He stood in her doorway for a minute, just watching her sleep. She looked like her mother in moments like this. The same dark lashes, the same small nose, the same expression of complete peace that Sarah used to wear in sleep. The resemblance used to hurt, used to cut like a knife every time he noticed it. Now it was just part of the landscape of his life. Sarah had been gone for 3 years. Cancer, fast and brutal, the kind that didn't give you time to prepare or say proper goodbyes. She'd made him promise to take care of their daughter, and he'd kept that promise through grief and exhaustion and nights where he didn't think he could make it to morning. He'd kept going because Mia needed him to. That's what he did. He kept going. Liam set his alarm for 5:30, early enough to get Mia to Jamie's and still make it downtown by 7, and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep felt impossible. His brain wouldn't stop churning through scenarios, each one worse than the last. She's going to fire you. She's going to sue you. She's going to make this a whole HR nightmare that follows you to every job interview for the rest of your life. But beneath those fears ran a thinner, stranger current of thought. The memory of Victoria's face when she'd asked that question. The vulnerability hidden beneath the executive polish. The way she'd looked at him like she was trying to solve a puzzle, and he was a piece that didn't quite fit where she'd expected. Do you think I'm pretty? Who asked a question like that at a moment like that? What kind of test required that specific answer? Liam finally fell asleep around 3 a.m., and the alarm felt like violence when it went off 2.5 hours later. The city looked different at dawn. Quieter. Less certain of itself. Like it hadn't quite decided what kind of day it wanted to be. Liam dropped Mia at Jamie's with promises of Sunday park time and her favorite takeout, promises he hoped he could actually keep this time. You said that last time, Daddy. I know, baby, but I mean it this time. Her skeptical 7-year-old face almost broke him. He drove downtown with his stomach in knots, half convinced this was some kind of elaborate setup. He'd arrive and the office would be empty, or HR would be waiting, or Victoria would be there with security and a lawyer and a termination letter already drafted. The office building was mostly empty at this hour, a few early risers in the lobby, security guards doing rounds, the weekend skeleton crew. Liam badged in and took the elevator to 18, watching the numbers climb and trying to remember how to breathe normally. The elevator doors opened. Victoria's office door was open. Light spilled into the hallway, warm and golden against the dark wood. Liam walked down that corridor for the second time in 12 hours, his footsteps sounding too loud in the silence. He stopped at the threshold and knocked on the open door. Victoria sat at her desk in jeans and a simple black sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders in a way that made her look younger, more human. She looked up when he appeared, and her expression was carefully neutral. Mr. Carter, right on time. Come in and close the door. Liam stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind him with a finality that made his pulse spike. Coffee? She gestured to a fancy machine in the corner that probably cost more than his car, the kind with buttons in Italian. I'm good, thanks. Suit yourself. She stood, moving to the windows with a mug in hand. For a moment, she just looked out at the city, backlit by morning sun. Do you know what I do here, Mr. Carter? You're the VP of Strategic Development, which means what exactly? Liam had no idea. He'd read the job title on company emails, but never really thought about what it meant. You develop strategy? The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. I fix problems. Big, complicated problems that other people create and can't solve. I take broken systems and make them functional. I identify weak points and eliminate them before they become catastrophic failures. She turned to face him. That's my job, finding the cracks. Okay. Last night, you saw something you weren't supposed to see. Something private, personal. The kind of thing that could be problematic in the wrong hands. She set her mug down on the window ledge. But you didn't take a picture. Didn't make a joke. Didn't try to leverage it into anything. You just apologized and told the truth. Here it came. The lawsuit, the NDA. The carefully worded termination that would make it impossible for him to explain why he'd been fired. That interests me, Victoria continued. I'm glad. Liam's voice came out uncertain. Don't be. Because now I need to know if that honesty was real or just panic. She pulled a folder from her desk, slid it across to him. Inside that folder is a project plan. Complete overhaul of our client data infrastructure. Budget is 7 figures. Timeline is 6 weeks. And as of this morning, you're the lead engineer. Liam stared at the folder like it might contain a live snake. Ms. Hale, I'm not a project lead. I'm support staff. I fix printers and reset passwords. This is way outside my job description. I'm aware. Then why? Because I need to know what kind of man you are, Mr. Carter. She leaned against the desk, arms crossed. The casual pose somehow didn't diminish her authority at all. Any idiot can apologize when caught. I want to see what you do when the pressure's actually on. When there's real stakes, real consequences, when no one's watching to make sure you do the right thing. This is a test. Everything's a test. Her eyes never left his face. The question is whether you're going to pass or fail. So what's it going to be? Are you taking the project? Liam's mind raced through the implications. This was insane. He wasn't qualified, didn't have the experience, the credentials, the background for this kind of responsibility. But he thought of Mia, of the bills stacking up on his kitchen counter, of the scholarship applications he couldn't afford to fund, of every single reason he needed this job and couldn't afford to say no. I'll do it. Good. She picked up her coffee again, took a sip. You start Monday. Team briefing at 8 a.m. I'll have the full specification sent to your email by end of day. She moved back to her desk, settling into her chair. And Mr. Carter? Yes? Don't make me regret this. I won't. He left that office with the folder clutched in his hands and the distinct feeling that he'd just agreed to something far more dangerous than a simple work project. The weekend passed in a blur of panic and research. Liam spent every spare moment studying the project brief, taking notes, trying to wrap his head around the scope of what Victoria was asking. It was massive, complex, the kind of thing that should have a team of senior engineers with decades of experience, not one exhausted IT guy with an associate's degree and crippling imposter syndrome. But he'd said yes. So he worked. Mia noticed, of course. She always noticed when something was wrong. Daddy, you're doing work stuff again. They were at the park Sunday afternoon, supposedly. Liam sat on a bench with his laptop while Mia climbed on playground equipment that looked vaguely unsafe and definitely hadn't been updated since the 90s. Sorry, sweetheart. Just need to finish this one thing. You always say that. She wasn't wrong. Liam closed the laptop, the guilt settling in his chest like stones. You're right. Work can wait. Race you to the swings? Her face lit up with that pure, uncomplicated joy only children could manage. You're gonna lose. Probably. They spent the next hour running and swinging and pretending Liam's knees didn't hurt from sitting in bad chairs for too many years. He bought her ice cream from a truck that looked like a health code violation on wheels and listened to her talk about school and her friends and the elaborate game of pretend she'd invented involving dragons and princesses and some kind of space station. Normal. This was normal. This was what mattered. But Liam's mind kept drifting back to Victoria's office, to that folder, to the weight of expectation pressing down on him like atmosphere, to the question that haunted him. Why me? Monday morning came too fast. The conference room on the 18th floor was full when Liam arrived at 7:55 a.m. A dozen people in business casual, all looking polished and confident, and like they belonged in rooms like this. Liam had worn his best button-down shirt, which still had a coffee stain on the cuff he'd tried and failed to remove with a wet paper towel that morning, and felt immediately, painfully out of place. Victoria stood at the head of the table, every inch the executive. Hair pulled back, suit sharp, expression neutral in that way that gave nothing away. Everyone, this is Liam Carter. He'll be leading the infrastructure overhaul. Liam, this is your team. A ripple of confusion went through the room. Someone, a guy in an expensive watch and too much cologne that Liam could smell from 6 feet away, spoke up. I'm sorry, who? I thought Dennison was heading this project. Change of plans, Victoria said smoothly, her voice carrying the kind of authority that made questions feel like challenges. Mr. Carter has been assigned the lead role. I expect everyone's full cooperation. Liam stood there while a dozen pairs of eyes assessed him and found him wanting. He could feel their doubt like a physical thing pressing against his skin. Right, he said, his voice rougher than intended. He cleared his throat. So, let's get started. The meeting was brutal. Every question felt like a trap. Every decision felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of professional humiliation. The team was polite, barely, but their skepticism was obvious in every exchanged glance, every carefully neutral expression. This wasn't a team. This was a firing squad with better manners. Victoria watched it all from the corner of the room, silent, taking notes on an iPad with that same unreadable expression. After 2 hours of technical discussions that left Liam's head spinning and his confidence in tatters, she finally spoke up. I think we have a good starting point. Team leads, I want progress reports by Wednesday. Everyone else, you have your assignments. Let's move. The room emptied quickly, people gathering laptops and notebooks and escaping as fast as professional decorum allowed. Liam started gathering his own notes, trying to ignore the way his hands were shaking slightly. "Mr. Carter, a moment." He looked up. The room was empty except for Victoria. "That was rough," he said. "It was supposed to be." She closed her iPad with a decisive click. "They don't trust you, don't respect you. Think you got this position through some kind of mistake or nepotism or executive whim." "Did I? Does it matter?" She stood, moved toward the door. "What matters is proving them wrong, or proving them right. We'll see which happens first. Is there anything you're not testing me on?" Something flickered across her face, almost amusement, but harder to read. "Not particularly. Get to work, Mr. Carter. You have 6 weeks to build something that won't collapse the moment we flip the switch." She left him there in that glass-walled conference room, surrounded by notes and doubt and the crushing weight of expectations he had no idea how to meet. Liam sat down, opened his laptop, stared at the project timeline and the impossibly tight deadlines and the scope of work that should have been distributed among 5 people, not one. Then he got to work, because that's what he did. He kept going. The first week was exactly the kind of hell Liam had anticipated, and then somehow worse. He worked 16-hour days, fueled by coffee that tasted like burnt regret and anxiety that sat in his stomach like acid. He coordinated with teams across departments, managed schedules that seemed designed to conflict, reviewed technical specifications until his eyes blurred and the words stopped making sense. He picked Mia up from after-school care at the last possible minute every day, the guilt piling up like unpaid bills. Helped her with homework while responding to urgent emails on his phone. Put her to bed with promises he knew he might not be able to keep. "Will you read me a story tonight?" "Not tonight, baby. Daddy has to work." Her face fell in that particular way that made his chest hurt. "You always have to work now." The guilt was a knife between his ribs, twisting with each disappointed look. "I know. I'm sorry. How about this weekend we do something special? Just us. Promise?" Promise. Another promise. Another thing to juggle in the increasingly complicated equation of his life. But the project was actually coming together. Slowly. Painfully. Like building a ship while already at sea in a storm. Liam discovered he was better at this than he'd thought. Not because of his technical skills, though those helped, but because he actually listened. He asked questions when he didn't understand instead of pretending he did. He didn't try to fake expertise he didn't have. And somehow, gradually, the team started to trust him. Not all of them. The guy with the expensive watch, Marcus, remained openly hostile, his skepticism obvious in every meeting. But enough of them. The senior developer, a quiet guy named Chen, started staying late to help troubleshoot problems. The project manager, Alicia, stopped double-checking every decision Liam made and started trusting his judgment. Progress. Victoria watched it all from a distance. She appeared at random times, during a team meeting, late at night when Liam was alone in the server room, surrounded by the low hum of machinery, once in the break room when he was inhaling a sad sandwich at his desk at 10 p.m. Eating dinner at your workspace. Classic burnout behavior. Liam looked up, startled by her sudden appearance. She stood in the doorway in a dark blazer and heels, looking like she'd just come from some high-level meeting where important decisions were made, which she probably had. "Just trying to stay on schedule. The schedule I gave you is aggressive, intentionally so." She moved into the room, poured herself water from the cooler with the kind of casual movement that suggested she'd done this 1,000 times. Most people would be drowning by now. I might be drowning, just doing it quietly. The corner of her mouth twitched. "How's your daughter handling the hours?" Liam went still, his sandwich forgotten. "How do you know about Mia?" "I know about all my employees, Mr. Carter. Especially the ones I'm testing." She leaned against the counter, water bottle in hand. "Single parent. Wife died 3 years ago. You work a 40-hour week on paper and somehow manage full-time childcare on top of it. That takes either superhuman ability or serious compartmentalization. It takes not having a choice. There's always a choice. Not when you have a 7-year-old depending on you for literally everything." Liam set down his sandwich, no longer hungry. The conversation had taken a turn he wasn't prepared for. "Is there something you needed, Ms. Hale?" "Just checking in. The team seems to be responding well to your leadership. Some of them. Marcus is an ass. Ignore him. She studied Liam with that particular intensity he was starting to recognize. The look that said she was cataloging everything, filing it away for later analysis. You're doing better than I expected. That worries me. Why would that worry you? Because it means I might have misjudged you, and I don't like being wrong. She set down her water bottle on the counter with a soft click. Keep up the work, Mr. Carter, and go home. Your daughter needs you more than this project does. She left before Liam could respond, her heels clicking against the floor in a rhythm that faded into silence. He sat there for a long moment, staring at the half-eaten sandwich and thinking about tests and daughters and women who asked questions with no good answers. Then he packed up his things and drove home through empty streets, his mind churning through everything Victoria had said and everything she hadn't. When he got home, Mia was asleep on the couch where Jamie had left her, still in her school clothes. A note on the counter in his sister's handwriting. She waited up as long as she could. Call me tomorrow. Liam carried his daughter to bed, guilt settling in his chest like stones. Changed her into pajamas without waking her, another skill perfected through years of practice. Stood in her doorway watching her sleep and wondering what he was doing, what he was sacrificing, whether any of it was worth it. The next morning he was back at his desk by 6 a.m., because that's what he did. He kept going. Week 2 brought the first major crisis, and it arrived at exactly the worst possible moment. Liam was in a technical review meeting on Thursday afternoon when his phone lit up with an alert. Database compatibility issue detected. Severity, critical. He felt the blood drain from his face as he read the details. The migration protocol they'd spent 2 weeks perfecting had a fundamental flaw that could corrupt client data during transfer. Carter, you with us? Marcus's voice cut through his panic. We're waiting on your input about the security protocols. Liam looked up. Everyone was staring at him. Victoria sat at the far end of the conference table, her expression unreadable as always. Sorry. Yeah, the security protocols look solid. Chen did good work on the encryption layers. He forced himself to focus on the meeting even as his brain screamed about the database issue. They had 3 weeks until deployment, 3 weeks to fix something that should have been caught in initial planning. The meeting dragged on for another 45 minutes. Liam contributed when necessary, his mind working double time on both conversations. The one happening in the room and the one racing through possible solutions to the database problem. When they finally adjourned, he grabbed Chen before the developer could leave. We need to talk. Database issue. Critical. Chen's expression went serious. How critical? The kind that could sink the entire project if we don't catch it now. They spent the next 6 hours in the server room, pulling apart the migration architecture line by line. The problem was worse than Liam had initially thought. Not just a compatibility issue, but a fundamental design flaw in how they were handling legacy data structures. At 11 p.m., Victoria appeared in the doorway. You're still here? Liam didn't look up from his screen. Yeah, we found a problem. A big one. How big? Big enough that if we proceed with the current timeline, we risk data loss for every client in the migration. He finally met her eyes. I need another week, maybe 2, to completely rebuild the data handling architecture. Victoria was quiet for a moment, her face illuminated by the glow of server lights. You have 4 days. The client presentation is Tuesday. 4 days isn't enough to... Then I suggest you figure out how to make it enough. Her voice was steel wrapped in silk. This is what I hired you for, Carter. Not to tell me about problems, to solve them. She left before he could respond. Liam stared at the empty doorway, exhaustion and frustration warring in his chest. Chen let out a long breath beside him. She's kind of terrifying. Yeah, Liam said. She is. They worked through the night. Liam called Jamie at midnight to ask if Mia could stay over, his sister's sleepy voice full of concern. Again? Liam, that's the 3rd night this week. I know, I'm sorry. This project is just consuming your entire life. Yeah, I've noticed. A pause. Mia's asking questions about why you're never home. What do you want me to tell her? The guilt was immediate and crushing. Tell her I love her and that this will be over soon. Will it? Liam didn't have an answer for that. Friday bled into Saturday. Liam worked 36 hours straight, surviving on coffee, and the adrenaline that came from knowing failure meant the end of everything. Chen stayed with him the entire time, the two of them becoming a single unit focused on one impossible goal. Sunday afternoon, they finally cracked it. A new architecture that handled the legacy data without corruption risk. Chen ran the tests while Liam watched, too exhausted to even feel nervous. Green, all green, every test passed. "We did it," Chen said, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Liam allowed himself exactly 30 seconds to feel relief before his phone rang. "Victoria, status? Fixed. The new architecture is solid. We're ready for Tuesday." "Good. My office, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. She hung up before he could respond. Liam drove home in a fog of exhaustion, picked up Mia from Jamie's. His daughter barely looked at him, her disappointment obvious in every line of her small body, and managed to get her fed and bathed and into bed before he collapsed on his own mattress fully clothed. His alarm went off at 5:15 a.m. He seriously considered throwing the phone against the wall. Victoria's office was dark when Liam arrived at 6, just the city lights providing illumination through those massive windows. She stood at the glass, silhouetted against the dawn, wearing what looked like yesterday's clothes. "You stayed here all night," Liam said. It wasn't a question. "So did you, from the looks of it." She turned to face him. "Coffee?" "I think I'm actually going to die if I have more coffee." "Water, then." She poured 2 glasses from a crystal pitcher, handed him one. Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Liam was too tired to analyze why his brain noted the contact. "Tell me about the fix." So he did. Walked her through the new architecture, the testing protocols, the risk mitigation strategies they'd built in. Victoria listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on her tablet. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "You could have come to me on Thursday, when you first found the problem, asked for more time, more resources." "I considered it." "Why didn't you?" "Because you gave me a job to do, and part of that job is figuring out solutions, not just escalating problems." Liam took a sip of water. It tasted expensive somehow. "Was that another test?" "Everything's a test, Carter. I thought we'd established that." But something in her voice had softened. "You're learning. Faster than I expected. That's good." "Is it? Or does that just mean the tests are going to get harder?" Victoria smiled. Actually smiled. Not the corporate approximation of the expression, but something genuine. "Both. The presentation is Tuesday at 2 p.m. I want you there, front and center. You built this, you present it." "I'm not a presenter. I'm an engineer." "You're a director now. Directors present." She moved back to her desk, started gathering papers into a portfolio. "Go home. Spend time with your daughter. Get some actual sleep. That's an order, not a suggestion." Liam stood, his body protesting every movement. "Victoria?" She looked up. It was the first time he'd used her first name instead of Ms. Hale. Her expression flickered with something he couldn't read. "Thank you for pushing me, even when I wanted to push back. Don't thank me yet. Wait until after the presentation." But she was still almost smiling. "Now get out of my office before I change my mind about that sleep order." Liam spent Monday with Mia, taking her to the park like he'd promised weeks ago. She was quiet at first, still hurt by all the broken promises and missed bedtimes. But gradually, she warmed up, her natural enthusiasm breaking through the disappointment. "Daddy, push me higher! Any higher and you'll go into orbit. That's the plan." He pushed her on the swings until his arms ached, bought her ice cream from a truck despite it being barely 11 a.m., listened to her explain in elaborate detail the difference between great white sharks and bull sharks. Normal. For a few hours, everything felt normal. His phone stayed in his pocket. Victoria's orders. Tuesday arrived with the weight of inevitability. Liam wore his best suit, which still looked cheap compared to what everyone else would be wearing, but it was clean and pressed, and it would have to do. He arrived at the office at noon, 2 hours before the presentation, and found the conference room already set up. Victoria was there, reviewing slides with an intensity that suggested she'd memorized every pixel. "Carter, good. Run through your section once. I want to make sure the timing works." They rehearsed. Victoria was merciless in her feedback, pointing out every hesitation, every unnecessary word, every moment where his explanation got too technical for a non-engineer audience. By the time the clients arrived at 2 p.m., Liam felt like he'd run a marathon. The Meridian Group executives filed in. 6 people in suits that probably cost more than Liam's car, all radiating the particular confidence that came from having too much money and too many options. Their CTO, a man named Harrison with silver hair and calculating eyes, took the seat directly across from Victoria. Ms. Hale, thank you for having us. Mr. Harrison, gentlemen, we appreciate you taking the time. Victoria's voice had that executive polish, smooth and confident. I think you'll be impressed with what our team has built. She nodded at Liam. Showtime. He stood, pulled up the first slide, and began talking. The nervousness he'd felt during rehearsal disappeared, replaced by something else. Certainty. He knew the system inside and out, had rebuilt it from the ground up over the last 4 days. He didn't need to perform confidence. He actually had it. 20 minutes in, Harrison interrupted. This architecture handles legacy data. How exactly? Liam pulled up the technical diagram. We built a translation layer that converts old data structures in real time during migration. No manual reformatting required. The system is smart enough to recognize pattern variations and adapt. And the failure rate? 0.03% in testing, well below industry standard. Harrison leaned back, exchanged glances with his colleagues. Impressive. What about scalability? The system can handle up to 10 times current load without performance degradation. We've stress tested it extensively. Liam pulled up the test results, walked them through the data. Every question they asked, he had an answer for. Every concern they raised, he addressed. 45 minutes later, Harrison stood and extended his hand to Victoria. This is exceptional work, Ms. Hale. Well beyond what we were expecting. Mr. Carter deserves the credit. He led the technical development. Victoria's voice was casual, but Liam caught the slight emphasis on led. Harrison turned to Liam, shook his hand. You've built something remarkable here, Mr. Carter. We'd like to move forward with implementation. After the clients left, after the team had celebrated with champagne Liam barely touched, after everyone else had gone home, Victoria called him to her office. He found her at the windows again, looking out at the city as evening light painted everything gold. You did good today, she said without turning around. The team did good. I just coordinated. There it is again. She turned to face him. That thing where you deflect every compliment. Why do you do that? Because I didn't do this alone. Chen, Alicia, even Marcus contributed. It was a team effort, led by you. Why is that so hard to accept? Liam didn't have a good answer. Victoria moved closer, and in the fading light, her expression was softer than he'd ever seen it. I'm promoting you. Again, Director of Infrastructure Engineering, full executive benefits package. The paperwork is already with HR. That's 2 promotions in as many months. And you've earned both of them. She pulled an envelope from her desk, handed it to him. This is your bonus for the Meridian project. Open it. Liam opened the envelope. The check inside had so many zeros he had to count them twice. I can't accept this. You can and you will. You worked 80-hour weeks for a month straight, sacrificed time with your daughter, solved problems that should have been impossible to solve in the time frame I gave you. Her voice was firm. You earned every dollar of that money, Carter. Don't insult me by refusing it. Thank you. The words felt inadequate. I mean it. Thank you. Stop thanking me and start believing you deserve it. Victoria moved back to her desk, pulled out another folder. Now, next project. We're pitching the Henderson account next month. I want you leading the technical side. Are you in? Liam thought about Mia, about the promises he'd already broken, about the guilt that followed him through every day. Can I have the weekend to think about it? No. Victoria's voice was sharp. Because if you think about it, you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll decide you're not qualified or you don't deserve it or Mia needs you more than the job does. And you know what? Mia does need you, but she also needs a father who isn't drowning in financial stress. Who can afford to send her to a good college? Who can give her opportunities? She softened slightly. I'm not asking you to choose between your daughter and your career. I'm asking you to build a career that gives your daughter a better life. And what if I can't do both? What if trying to do both means I fail at everything? Then you fail. But at least you tried. Victoria sat on the edge of her desk, a casual pose that somehow didn't diminish her authority. I know what it's like to be afraid of failing, Carter. To be so scared of not being good enough that you don't even try. But that fear? It's the only thing that can actually guarantee failure. Liam looked at the bonus check in his hand, thought about what it could mean, what it could change. Okay, I'm in. Good. We start planning Monday. She stood. Now go home. Take your daughter somewhere fun this weekend. And Carter? Yeah? Bring her by the office next week. I'd like to meet her properly. The request caught him completely off guard. You want to meet Mia? Is that so strange? You just don't seem like the kid person. I'm not. But I'm interested in the people who matter to the people I work with. And from everything you've told me, Mia is the most important person in your life. Victoria's expression was unreadable. Unless you'd rather keep your work and personal life completely separate. No, she'd love to meet you. She's been asking about my boss anyway. Then it's settled. Wednesday after school? Wednesday works. Liam left the office with a bonus check that would change his life, and the strange, unsettling feeling that Victoria Hale was becoming more than just his boss. What exactly she was becoming, he couldn't quite name, but it felt like standing on the edge of something he didn't fully understand. That weekend, he took Mia to the aquarium, her favorite place in the entire world. They spent hours looking at sharks and rays and jellyfish, Mia pressing her face against the glass and rattling off facts she'd learned from her books. Did you know that hammerhead sharks can see 360 degrees? I did not know that. It's because their eyes are on the sides of their heads. It's called binocular vision, but like all around. You're smarter than me, baby. She grinned, gap-toothed and proud. Miss Peterson says I should be a marine biologist when I grow up. Mrs. Peterson is very wise. That night, after Mia was asleep, Liam sat on his couch and deposited the bonus check on his phone, watched his bank balance transform from something that caused daily anxiety to something that meant breathing room. Choices. The ability to say yes to things he'd been saying no to for years. He texted Victoria, "Thank you, not just for the money, for believing I could do this." 3 dots appeared immediately. "You're welcome. Now stop thanking me and get some sleep. Wednesday is going to be interesting." Why interesting? You'll see. Liam stared at the cryptic message, trying to parse what it meant. But Victoria didn't send any follow-up texts, and eventually he gave up trying to decode her intentions and went to bed. Wednesday afternoon, he picked up Mia from school. She was vibrating with excitement about meeting his boss. What's she like? She's smart, really smart, and kind of intense. Intense how? Like she notices everything, pays attention in a way most people don't. Will she like me? The vulnerability in Mia's voice made Liam's chest tight. She's gonna love you. How could she not? They arrived at the office at 4:30. Liam led Mia through the lobby. She stared wide-eyed at the marble and the modern art, and up to the 18th floor. Victoria's door was open. She stood when they entered, and Liam watched something shift in her expression when she saw Mia. "You must be Mia. I'm Victoria." She didn't crouch down or use a baby voice, which Liam appreciated, just extended her hand like Mia was a small adult. Mia shook it seriously. "It's nice to meet you. My dad talks about you a lot." "Does he?" Victoria glanced at Liam with something that might have been amusement. "All good things, I hope." "Mostly he just says you're scary and make him work really hard." Liam felt his face heat. "Mia, I am scary," Victoria said calmly, "and I do make your dad work hard, but only because he's capable of doing hard things." She gestured toward her conference table, where Liam noticed for the first time that she'd set out several books. "I heard you like sharks." Mia's eyes went huge. "You have shark books?" "I have shark books. Want to see?" For the next hour, Liam watched his boss and his daughter bond over marine biology. Victoria asked questions that actually engaged with what Mia was saying instead of the usual adult platitudes. When Mia explained the difference between filter feeders and active hunters, Victoria listened like it was the most fascinating thing she'd heard all day. "So whale sharks are actually gentle even though they're huge?" Victoria asked. "The biggest fish in the ocean," Mia confirmed. "But they only eat plankton. They're like the vegetarians of sharks." "That's remarkable. Do you have a favorite shark?" "Hammerheads. Because they look weird, but they're really good at what they do. Like, they're not trying to be normal, they just are what they are, and that's enough." Victoria met Liam's eyes across the table, something unreadable in her expression. I like that philosophy. At 6 p.m., Liam finally intervened. Okay, sweetheart, we should let Ms. Hale get back to work. Can I come back sometime? Mia looked at Victoria hopefully. Anytime you want. And if you ever have questions about sharks or anything else, you can email me. Your dad has my address. Mia beamed. Really? Really? In the elevator down, Mia couldn't stop talking. She's so cool, Daddy, and she knew about cephalofoils. Did you see those books she had? One of them was a college textbook. I saw. I really like her. Is she your friend? Liam thought about that question, about Victoria's apartment invitation that still confused him, about the way she'd looked at Mia with something almost like longing. Yeah, I think she might be. That night, after Mia was in bed, his phone buzzed. Victoria, your daughter is extraordinary. Thank you for bringing her by. Liam, she loved meeting you. Fair warning, she's going to email you 1,000,000 shark facts. Victoria, I look forward to all of them. Pause then. You're doing a good job with her, Carter. Don't let the work make you forget that. The message hit him harder than he expected. When was the last time someone had told him he was doing a good job as a father? When was the last time he'd believed it himself? Liam, that means more than you know. Victoria, get some sleep. Monday we start on Henderson. Liam, looking forward to it. He stared at the phone for a long moment before setting it aside. Something was shifting between them, something that went beyond boss and employee, beyond mentor and protege. He didn't know what to call it, didn't know if he should be worried or excited or both. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. Victoria Hale saw him, really saw him. Not just as an employee or a project lead, but as a person, a father, someone who mattered beyond what he could produce for the company, and for reasons he couldn't fully articulate, that terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. Monday morning brought a new project brief and a team meeting where Victoria announced Liam would be technical director on the Henderson pitch. Marcus's expression went stormy, but he didn't say anything, just gathered his things after the meeting and left without a word. Chen caught up with Liam in the hallway. Marcus is planning something. I can feel it. Let him plan. We have work to do. But Liam couldn't shake the feeling that Chen was right, that Marcus's silence was more dangerous than his open hostility, that something was building beneath the surface of their professional civility. He pushed the thought aside and focused on the Henderson project. 6 weeks to build a pitch that would make or break the company's expansion plans. 6 weeks of 16-hour days and missed bedtimes and promises to Mia that he'd be home soon. The cycle starting all over again. But this time, when exhaustion threatened to drown him, when the pressure felt like it might crack something essential, his phone would buzz with a message from Victoria. Sometimes just a question about the project, sometimes a reminder to go home and sleep. Once, at 2 a.m. when Liam was alone in the server room, a simple message. You're doing good work. Keep going. He didn't know when she'd started mattering to him, when her opinion had become the one he valued most, when the thought of disappointing her had become worse than the thought of failing. But somewhere between that first wrong click and now, something had fundamentally shifted, and Liam wasn't sure he could or wanted to shift it back. The invitation came on a Thursday afternoon, 3 weeks into the Henderson project. Liam was reviewing security protocols when his calendar pinged with a new event. Dinner meeting, Victoria's apartment, 7 p.m. tonight. Project strategy discussion. Dress casual. He stared at the notification for a full minute, his brain trying to process what casual meant in Victoria Hale's world and why they were meeting at her apartment instead of the office. His phone buzzed. Text from Victoria. Before you overthink it, this is purely professional. I have documents at home I need you to review. Office is too loud. Liam typed back. Understood. I'll be there. But his hands were shaking slightly as he sent the message. He called Jamie to ask if she could keep Mia overnight, his sister's knowing tone making him defensive before she'd even said anything incriminating. An overnight work thing? On a Thursday? It's a project meeting. Could run late. Uh-huh. With your boss? At her place? It's not like that. I didn't say it was like anything. You did. Jamie's voice softened. Relax. I've got Mia. You go do your work thing. Just be careful, okay? Careful of what? of not knowing what you're walking into. The words stayed with Liam as he drove to Victoria's building that evening. The same high-rise from before, the same doorman who recognized him this time and waved him through without checking the list. The private elevator that opened directly into her penthouse. Victoria was in the kitchen when he arrived, pulling something from the oven that smelled incredible. She wore jeans and a soft gray sweater, her hair down around her shoulders. No makeup that he could detect. She looked younger like this, more human. "Carter? Good. You're on time." She set down what appeared to be homemade lasagna. "Hope you're hungry. I always cook too much when I'm stressed." "You cook?" "Occasionally, when I need to think." She pulled out plates, actual china, not paper, and started serving. "The Henderson pitch is making me nervous." "That doesn't happen often." Liam accepted the plate she handed him. "Why does it make you nervous?" "Because it's the biggest account we've ever pursued. Because if we land it, the company doubles in size. And because I'm gambling on a technical director who 6 months ago was resetting passwords in the basement." "Is this where you tell me you're having second thoughts?" "No. This is where I tell you I don't make bets I'm not confident about." She gestured toward the dining table. "Sit, eat, then we'll talk strategy." They ate in surprising comfort, the conversation drifting between work and not work in a way that felt natural. Victoria asked about Mia's latest shark facts. Liam asked about her father's company, curious about the woman who'd built her career in his shadow. "He taught me everything about business," Victoria said, refilling their wine glasses. "How to negotiate, how to read people, how to identify weakness and exploit it." She paused. "He also taught me that relationships are liabilities, that caring about people makes you vulnerable." "Do you believe that?" "I believed it for a long time. Now I'm not so sure." She met his eyes across the table. "You're making me question a lot of things I thought were certainties, Carter." "Like what?" "Like whether trusting people is always a mistake. Like whether someone can see you at your worst and not use it against you." She stood, carried their plates to the sink. "That night in my office, when you saw those photos, you could have destroyed me with them." "Why would I want to destroy you?" "For leverage, for advancement, for the simple pleasure of having power over someone powerful." She turned to face him, leaning against the counter. "But you didn't. You just apologized. Do you have any idea how rare that is?" Liam stood, moved closer without consciously deciding to. "I'm starting to understand that my version of normal isn't most people's version. Your version of normal is refreshing and terrifying." Victoria's voice had gone quiet. "Because it makes me want to trust you with things I don't trust anyone with." "Like what?" "Like the fact that I'm lonely. That being at the top means everyone wants something from you, and no one just wants you." She looked away. "Like the fact that I invited you here tonight, knowing full well we don't need to discuss strategy. We could have done this over email." Liam's heart was pounding. "Then why did you invite me?" "Because I wanted to see you outside the office. Without the performance we both do there." She met his eyes again. "Because I'm tired of pretending I don't look for you in meetings. That I don't find excuses to check in on your projects. That I don't think about you when I'm here alone, wondering what my life would look like if I let someone in." The air between them felt charged, electric. Liam was acutely aware of how close they were standing, of the way Victoria was looking at him, unguarded in a way he'd never seen. "Victoria, I don't know what you want me to say." "Say you feel it too, this thing between us that isn't just professional." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Or tell me I'm imagining it, and we'll go back to pretending we're just boss and employee." Liam thought about all the reasons this was a terrible idea. The power imbalance, the professional complications, the fact that he was still figuring out how to be a person again after 3 years of just surviving. "I feel it," he said. "I think about you way more than I should. Wonder what you're doing when we're not working. Notice things like how you take your coffee and the way you tap your pen when you're thinking hard about something." He ran a hand through his hair. "But I have Mia to think about. I can't just—" "I know you have Mia. I like that you have Mia. I like that she's your priority." Victoria stepped closer. "I'm not asking you to choose between me and your daughter. I'm asking if there's room in your life for both." "I don't know. Maybe. This is all terrifying, complicated, completely inappropriate given our work relationship." Victoria's mouth curved slightly. "Welcome to how I've felt for the last month." "A month?" You think I invite all my employees to my apartment for dinner? That I memorize their coffee orders and text them at 2 a.m. to make sure they've gone home? She shook her head. I've been falling for you since that night you saw those photos and responded with basic human decency. Everything since has just been me trying to figure out if you're real or if I'm projecting what I want to see. I'm real. Probably too real. I'm exhausted and overwhelmed and barely keeping my life together most days. I know. That's part of what She stopped herself. We should probably talk about the Henderson project. That's why you're here. Is it? No, but it's safer than talking about this. They moved to the couch, pulled up the project files on Victoria's laptop. For an hour, they discussed strategy and timelines and technical challenges. Professional, safe. But Liam was constantly aware of Victoria beside him, close enough that their shoulders brushed when they leaned forward to look at the screen. Around 11, his phone buzzed. Text from Jamie. Mia's asking if you're coming home tonight. What should I tell her? Liam typed back. Tell her I'll see her tomorrow after school, and thank you for watching her. Jamie. You know I love that kid. But Liam, whatever you're doing tonight, make sure it's what you actually want, not what you think you should want. He stared at the message, Victoria's presence beside him a warm weight. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, just Jamie checking in. He set the phone down. I should probably go, it's late. Or you could stay for a while. We could just talk. Victoria's voice was careful. No pressure, no expectations, just two people who enjoy each other's company. Liam knew he should leave, knew staying crossed a line they couldn't uncross. But he also knew he didn't want to go back to his empty apartment and lie awake thinking about what ifs. Okay, I'll stay. They talked for 2 more hours. About everything and nothing. Victoria told him about growing up wealthy but invisible. Her father's attention always on the next deal. Liam told her about Sarah, about the grief that had nearly destroyed him, about learning to be both parents to a little girl who asked questions he didn't know how to answer. She asked me last month if I'd ever love anyone the way I loved her mom, Liam said quietly. I didn't know what to say. What did you tell her? That I loved her mom in a way that was specific to who we were together. That if I ever loved someone else, it would be different. Not less, just different. He looked at Victoria. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I'm capable of that kind of connection anymore. You're capable. You're just scared. Victoria shifted closer. That's allowed. Being scared. But it's also okay to want something for yourself instead of just for Mia. Is that what this is? Me wanting something for myself? I don't know. What is this? Liam looked at her, really looked at her, at the vulnerability in her eyes, the hope she was trying to hide, at the woman behind the executive exterior. It's me being terrified that I'm going to mess this up, whatever this is. What if we mess it up together? Is that an option? I'm making it an option. Victoria reached out, touched his face with tentative fingers. I'm making a lot of new rules lately. Might as well add one more. Liam caught her hand, held it against his cheek. What happens Monday? At work? Monday we're professional. We keep this separate until we figure out what it is. And if we can't keep it separate, then we deal with it, together. She leaned in slowly, giving him time to pull away. Can I kiss you? Yeah, yes, please. The kiss was gentle, careful, like they were both afraid of breaking something fragile. When they pulled apart, Victoria rested her forehead against his. I haven't done this in a long time, she whispered. Done what? Let myself want something I can't control. How's it feel? Terrifying, but good, really good. They kissed again, longer this time, and Liam felt something in his chest crack open, something he'd kept locked down since Sarah died. The possibility of not being alone, of being seen and wanted for who he was, not who he used to be or who he should be. At 1 a.m., he finally left, drove home through empty streets with Victoria's taste still on his lips and his mind spinning through everything that had just happened. His phone buzzed at a red light. Victoria, get home safe. And Carter? Thank you for staying. Liam, thank you for asking me to. See you Monday. Victoria, it's going to be awkward, isn't it? Liam, probably, but we'll figure it out. Victoria, we will. Good night. Liam, good night. He lay in bed that night thinking about Victoria's apartment and the way she'd looked at him, about the line they'd crossed and what it meant for Monday morning. Fear and excitement warred in his chest, but mostly excitement. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Liam got to the office early, half expecting things to feel different, waiting for some sign that everything had changed. Victoria was already in her office when he passed by. She glanced up, caught his eye, and nodded once. Professional. Controlled. Like Friday night hadn't happened. Liam made it to his desk and tried to focus on work. Failed spectacularly. His calendar pinged. Meeting request from Victoria. Henderson Project Review, Conference Room B, 10 a.m. When he arrived at the conference room, Victoria was already there. So were Chen, Alicia, and Marcus. Purely professional. The meeting proceeded normally. They discussed timelines and deliverables and resource allocation. Victoria was all business, her attention focused on the project with no indication that anything had shifted between them. But Liam noticed small things. The way her gaze lingered on him half a second longer than necessary. The barely perceptible smile when he made a joke that only she seemed to fully appreciate. The brush of her hand against his when she passed him a document. After the meeting, she caught his arm as everyone filed out. My office, 5 minutes. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Victoria was at the windows, arms crossed. That was harder than I thought it would be, she said without turning around. What was? Pretending. Acting like nothing's changed when everything's changed. She turned to face him. We need to talk about how we handle this. What is this exactly? I don't know yet, but I know I want to find out. She moved closer. Which means we need rules, boundaries at work, complete discretion until we know what we're doing. Agreed. What else? Honesty. If this gets too complicated, if it's affecting Mia, if you need to step back, you tell me. No guilt, no drama, just honesty. Same goes for you. If I'm not what you need, if this becomes a professional liability, it won't. You don't know that. I know you. I trust you. That's enough for now. Victoria glanced at the door. You should go. We've been in here too long. People will notice. Let them notice. Carter, I know. Discretion. I'm going. But he paused at the door. Dinner this week? Wednesday, my place. I'll cook. I'll bring wine. You'll bring yourself. That's sufficient. Liam left the office trying not to smile and failing completely. The week proceeded in careful balance. Professional at work, personal and private moments stolen between meetings, text messages late at night, Victoria asking about Mia, Liam asking about her day, small intimacies that built something between them without a name. Wednesday evening, he arrived at her apartment with a bottle of wine he'd agonized over in the store for 15 minutes. Victoria answered the door in jeans and a t-shirt, her feet bare. You brought wine anyway. I'm traditional. You're stubborn. That too. She pulled him inside, kissed him before he could set the bottle down. Different from last week. Less tentative, more certain. I've been thinking about doing that since Monday, she said against his lips. Only since Monday? Don't get cocky. They cooked together, or rather Victoria cooked while Liam chopped vegetables with the focused intensity of someone who didn't trust himself with a knife around distractions. They ate at her dining table, the conversation flowing easily between work and life and everything in between. Mia's been asking about you, Liam said over dessert, something chocolate that Victoria had made from scratch because apparently she was good at everything. What's she asking? If you're my girlfriend, he watched Victoria's reaction carefully. I didn't know what to tell her. What do you want to tell her? The truth, whatever that is. Victoria was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing patterns on her wine glass. I haven't been someone's girlfriend in 10 years. I don't know if I remember how. We could figure it out together. Is that what you want? To figure this out? Yeah, it is. Liam reached across the table, took her hand. I'm terrified, and this is probably a disaster waiting to happen. But yeah, I want to try. Victoria's grip tightened. Okay, let's try. Just like that? Just like that. They moved to the couch afterward, Victoria curled against him in a way that felt both new and familiar. Liam played with her hair absently, watching the city lights through the windows. Tell me something true, Victoria said quietly. About what? About you. Something you don't tell people. Liam thought about it. Sometimes I'm so tired I don't know how I'm still functioning, like I'm running on fumes and momentum, and the knowledge that if I stop moving I'll just collapse. That's not sustainable. I know, but it's all I've got. No, it's not. You have me now. Let me help carry some of it. Victoria, you can't. I can. I want to. She shifted to look at him. Let me be part of your life. Really part of it. Not just the work parts or the carefully managed parts. All of it. That's messy. I'm messy. I know, I'm messy too, just in different ways. She kissed him softly. We can be messy together. Liam stayed until midnight. They talked and kissed and planned how to tell Mia, how to handle work, how to navigate all the complicated reality of two people trying to build something real. When he finally left, Victoria walked him to the elevator. I'm happy, she said, like she was testing the words. That's new for me. Being happy. Me too. Good. Keep making me happy, Carter. I'll do my best. The elevator doors closed. Liam rode down 30 floors with a smile he couldn't contain and the knowledge that his life had just gotten infinitely more complicated. And somehow, he didn't mind at all. Thursday morning brought the first complication in the form of Marcus appearing at Liam's office door with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Carter, got a minute? What do you need? Marcus closed the door behind him, sat down uninvited. I wanted to talk to you about the Henderson project. I have some concerns about the security architecture. For 20 minutes, Marcus outlined technical objections that Liam recognized as legitimate but solvable. Nothing catastrophic. Nothing that required the kind of serious expression Marcus was wearing. These are good catches, Liam said finally. I'll have Chen review the protocols and we'll address them in next week's update. That's it? No pushback? Why would I push back on valid concerns? Marcus leaned forward. You're different lately, more confident, less... He waved a hand vaguely, desperate to prove yourself. Is that a problem? No, just an observation. Marcus stood. You and Victoria seem to have a good working relationship. The shift in topic was too casual to be accidental. Liam kept his expression neutral. She's a good mentor. I've learned a lot from her. I bet you have. Marcus moved toward the door, paused with his hand on the knob. Just be careful, Carter. Office relationships never end well, especially when there's such a power imbalance. The door closed before Liam could respond. He sat there for a full minute, his mind racing. Did Marcus know? Suspect? Or was he just fishing? His phone buzzed. Victoria. Marcus just left my office asking questions about our working relationship. We need to talk. Liam. Your office or mine? Victoria. Neither. Too obvious. Parking garage, level B, 15 minutes. The parking garage was nearly empty at 10 a.m. Victoria was already there, leaning against her car with her arms crossed. He knows something, she said without preamble, or he suspects and he's trying to confirm. Either way, it's a problem. Victoria ran a hand through her hair. If he goes to HR with speculation, they'll investigate. And if they investigate, they'll find out we're involved, which means we need to disclose it ourselves before Marcus forces their hand. Disclosing means scrutiny, questions about whether your promotions were merit-based or favoritism, whether I've been giving you preferential treatment. Have you? No, you earned every opportunity you got. But her voice was uncertain. At least, I don't think I have. How do I know for sure my judgment hasn't been compromised? Liam moved closer, took her hands. Look at the results. The Meridian project, the Henderson pitch. The work speaks for itself. That's not how HR will see it. Then we give them documentation, performance reviews, project assessments, testimonials from the team. We prove it was merit, not favoritism. Victoria met his eyes. This could get ugly. Are you prepared for that? Are you? I'm prepared to fight for this. For us. Are you? Liam thought about Mia, about the stability he'd finally achieved, about everything he could lose if this went sideways. Then he thought about Victoria, about the way she made him feel alive instead of just surviving. Yeah, I'm prepared to fight. Good. Because I think we're about to be in for a battle. She was right. Marcus filed his complaint with HR on Friday afternoon. Liam found out when his calendar pinged with a meeting request from Patricia Mendez, Director of Human Resources, scheduled for Monday morning at 8 a.m., mandatory attendance. No agenda provided. His phone rang 30 seconds later. Victoria. You got the meeting request? Yeah, you? Mine's at 9. They're separating us for the interviews. Her voice was tight. Marcus went nuclear. Formal complaint alleging favoritism, inappropriate workplace relationship, possible ethics violations. Liam sat down heavily in his desk chair. How bad can this get? Worst case? They terminate both of us. Best case? Written reprimands and forced separation of our professional relationship. Either way, it's going to be ugly. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I should have been more careful, more... Don't. This isn't on you. I knew the risks when I started this. Victoria was quiet for a moment. We need to get our stories straight. Be completely honest with HR about the timeline. When the relationship started, how we've kept it separate from work decisions. What if they don't believe us? Then we deal with it, together. She paused. Liam, if this costs you your job, we'll figure it out. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. You sound more confident than I feel. One of us has to be. Victoria laughed, but it was strained. Go home. Spend the weekend with Mia. We'll face this Monday. Liam picked up Mia from after-school care and took her to the park, trying to be present despite his mind spinning through worst-case scenarios. She noticed immediately. You're sad, Daddy. Just thinking about work stuff. Is it bad? He pulled her onto his lap on the park bench, held her close. Might be. But even if it is, we'll be okay. I promise. Are you going to lose your job? The question hit him like a punch. I don't know, baby. Maybe. Because of Ms. Hale? Liam went still. Why would you think that? Because you like her. And she likes you, I can tell. Mia pulled back to look at him seriously. Are you boyfriend and girlfriend? There was no point lying. Kids were too perceptive for that. Yeah, we are. Is that okay with you? Mia considered this. Does she make you happy? She does. Then it's okay. But Daddy? Yeah? If you lose your job because people are mean about you having a girlfriend, that's really dumb. Liam laughed despite everything. You're absolutely right. It is really dumb. Are you going to fight the dumb people? Yeah, baby. I'm going to fight. Good. Because you're really good at your job. Ms. Hale told me so. That stopped him. When did she tell you that? When I emailed her about whale sharks, she said you're the smartest person she works with and she's lucky to have you on her team. Mia leaned against him. She said lots of nice things about you. Liam held his daughter close and tried not to think about what Monday might bring. The weekend passed too quickly. Saturday, he took Mia to the aquarium, let her drag him through every exhibit twice. Sunday, they made pancakes and watched movies and pretended everything was normal. Victoria texted once. Thinking about you? About tomorrow. We've got this. Liam. We do. See you on the other side. Monday morning arrived with the weight of inevitability. Liam wore his best suit, dropped Mia at school with extra long hugs, and drove to the office with his stomach in knots. Patricia Mendez was waiting in conference room A when he arrived. A woman in her 50s with silver hair and an expression that gave nothing away. She gestured to a chair across from her. Mr. Carter, thank you for being prompt. I'm sure you know why you're here. Marcus filed a complaint about my relationship with Victoria Hale. Among other things, he's alleging that your promotions and project assignments were based on personal favoritism rather than merit. That you've leveraged an inappropriate relationship for professional advancement. That's not what happened. Then tell me what did happen, from the beginning. So Liam did. He told her about the computer repair that first night, about accidentally opening the photo folder about Victoria's test. He told her about the project assignments, the impossible deadlines, the way he'd proven himself over and over. He told her about when the personal relationship had started, after the Meridian project, after he'd already received his promotions based on performance. Patricia took notes, her expression neutral. And the photos you saw, Ms. Hale's private photos. Did you ever use those as leverage? No, never. I've never mentioned them to anyone except Victoria herself when I apologized that night. Why not? They could have been powerful leverage. Because using someone's private moments against them is wrong. I'm not that person. Patricia studied him for a long moment. Marcus claims that you've been spending inappropriate amounts of time alone with Ms. Hale. Late nights in her office, meetings at her apartment. The late nights were project work. The team can verify that. As for her apartment, Liam met Patricia's eyes. We started dating 3 weeks ago. We've been discreet, but yes, I've been to her apartment. That's what people do when they're dating. People who aren't in a direct reporting relationship, which is why we were planning to disclose the relationship this week, before Marcus forced the issue. Patricia made another note. Walk me through your promotions, each one. What prompted them? What work you did to earn them? For the next 2 hours, Liam detailed every project, every challenge, every deliverable that had led to each promotion. He provided specific examples, referenced team members who could corroborate his performance, outlined the measurable results of his work. Patricia listened without interrupting, taking notes on her tablet. Finally, she sat back. Mr. Carter, I'm going to be honest with you. This situation is complicated. On one hand, your work speaks for itself. The results are documented and impressive. On the other hand, the appearance of impropriety is often as damaging as actual impropriety. So what happens now? Now I interview Ms. Hale and several of your colleagues. I review every personnel decision she's made regarding you. I determine whether there's evidence of favoritism or if Marcus's complaint is simply sour grapes from someone passed over for advancement. She closed her tablet. This process will take approximately 2 weeks. In the meantime, you'll be temporarily reassigned to report to the COO instead of Ms. Hale. This removes the direct supervisory relationship while we investigate. And if you find evidence of impropriety, then we'll address it at that time. Patricia stood. I suggest you prepare for some uncomfortable scrutiny, Mr. Carter. These investigations have a way of bringing out information people would prefer stayed hidden. Liam left the meeting feeling like he'd been through a meat grinder. He made it to his office before his phone rang. Victoria. How bad? 2-week investigation, temporary reassignment. They're going to review everything. Same here. Patricia asked me questions I'm not sure I answered right. Victoria's voice was strained. She asked if my judgment had been compromised. If I could honestly say, your promotions were purely merit-based. What did you tell her? The truth, that I believe they were merit-based, but I can't be completely objective because I care about you. A pause. Was that the wrong answer? It was the honest answer. That's all we can give them. Liam, if this costs you your career, then I'll find another career, but I'm not losing you over this. Whatever happens, we face it together. Together, Victoria repeated. I'm not used to having a together in my life. Get used to it. The next 2 weeks were brutal. Patricia interviewed everyone who'd worked with Liam. Chen, Alicia, even Marcus again. She reviewed every email Victoria had sent regarding Liam's projects, every performance review, every budget approval. The office buzzed with gossip. Liam heard the whispers in the hallway, saw the speculative looks. Some people were supportive. Chen made a point of having lunch with him every day, a silent show of solidarity. Others kept their distance, not wanting to be associated with a potential scandal. Marcus played the wronged party perfectly, his concerned expression in every meeting making Liam want to punch something. Victoria handled it with her usual composure, but Liam could see the strain. They couldn't meet privately, couldn't even have lunch together without it being noted and potentially used as evidence. They communicated through carefully worded texts sent from personal phones, brief messages of support and frustration. Mia noticed the change in his mood. Is the fighting with the dumb people going okay? It's going, slowly. Are you winning? I don't know yet, baby. She hugged him fiercely. You better win, because Ms. Hale is nice and I like her. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Day 14 of the investigation, Patricia called them both to her office, together this time. Liam arrived first. Victoria came in 2 minutes later, their eyes meeting across the room with the weight of 2 weeks of separation. Patricia gestured for them to sit. I've completed my investigation. I wanted to deliver the findings to you both simultaneously. She pulled up a document on her tablet. After extensive review, I found no evidence of favoritism in Ms. Hale's personnel decisions regarding Mr. Carter. Every promotion was supported by documented performance metrics and project success. There's no indication that your personal relationship influenced professional decisions. Liam felt something in his chest unclench. However, Patricia continued, the appearance of a conflict of interest remains. To address this, we're implementing a new reporting structure. Mr. Carter, you'll continue in your current role but will report directly to the COO. This removes the direct supervisory relationship between you and Ms. Hale. That's acceptable, Victoria said before Liam could respond. Good. Additionally, you're both required to complete ethics training and quarterly disclosure of your relationship status. Any change in the relationship must be reported immediately. Patricia looked between them. To be clear, the company isn't prohibiting your relationship. We're simply ensuring appropriate boundaries are maintained. What about Marcus's complaint? Liam asked. Dismissed as unsubstantiated. However, Mr. Ross has been counseled about making baseless accusations against colleagues. Patricia closed her tablet. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? No, Victoria said. Thank you for being thorough and fair. After Patricia left, Liam and Victoria sat in silence for a moment. We made it, Liam said. Barely. Victoria's hands were shaking slightly. 2 more weeks of that, and I might have cracked. No, you wouldn't. You're stronger than that. Am I? Because the last 2 weeks I've questioned everything, every decision I made about you. Whether my judgment was compromised, whether I put you in an impossible position. Liam moved his chair closer, took her hand. Your judgment wasn't compromised. You saw potential in me and gave me opportunities to prove myself. That's what good leaders do. Good leaders don't fall for their employees. Good leaders are also human. They're allowed to have feelings. Victoria squeezed his hand. I missed you these 2 weeks. I missed being able to just talk to you. I missed you too. Can I see you tonight? Your place? Yes. Please, yes. That evening, Liam stood outside Victoria's door and knocked instead of using his key card, unsure if the rules had changed. She opened it immediately, pulled him inside, and kissed him before he could say anything. I'm not doing that again, she said against his mouth. 2 weeks of pretending we're just colleagues. I hated every second. Me too. They moved to the couch. Victoria curled against him in a way that felt like coming home. Mia asked when she could see you again, Liam said. She's been emailing you shark facts, but she wants to show you her science project in person. When? This weekend, if you're free? I'm free. I'm always free for you and Mia. Victoria shifted to look at him. I've been thinking about what we're doing, about the future. And I think I might be falling in love with you, which terrifies me because I don't do love. I do control and strategy and calculated risks. But this, none of it's calculated. Liam's heart was pounding. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. She touched his face. But I don't want to stop. Even knowing it scares me. Even knowing we just barely survived an HR investigation. I don't want to stop. Good, because I don't want to stop either. He kissed her softly. And for what it's worth, I might be falling in love with you too. Might be? Okay, definitely am. Have been for a while now. Victoria laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. How did this happen? How did you become the person I can't imagine my life without? Same way you became that person for me. One day at a time, one honest conversation at a time, one impossible deadline at a time. They spent the evening planning the weekend, talking about how to integrate their lives more openly now that the investigation was over. Victoria wanted to take Mia to the Science Museum. Liam wanted to introduce Victoria to Jamie properly, as his girlfriend instead of his boss. Normal relationship things. The kind of planning that felt both mundane and miraculous. Around midnight, Liam's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Congrats on surviving the investigation. But this isn't over. You don't belong in that position, and we both know it. Marcus. He showed it to Victoria. Her expression went cold. That's a threat. Or just him being bitter. No. That's him saying he's going to keep coming after you, after us. She took the phone, forwarded the message to herself. I'm documenting this. If he tries anything else, he's not worth the energy. We won. He lost. Let it go. I don't let threats go, especially not threats against people I care about. Victoria, I care about you, more than is probably wise. So if Marcus thinks he's going to undermine you or sabotage your career, he's going to find out exactly how ruthless I can be when protecting what's mine. The possessiveness in her voice should have been alarming. Instead, it made Liam feel safer than he had in weeks. Okay, document it. But don't engage. He wants a reaction. Don't give him one. Fine, but I'm watching him. Saturday afternoon, Victoria arrived at Liam's apartment for the first time. It was small and cluttered with Mia's toys, and nothing like the sleek minimalism of her penthouse. Liam felt a flash of self-consciousness as she looked around. Sorry about the mess. With Mia, it's constant chaos. I like it. It feels lived in, real. Victoria picked up a stuffed shark from the couch. This must be Mr. Chompers. Mia mentioned him in her last email. That's him. He's her favorite. Mia came running from her room, launched herself at Victoria with the fearlessness of a 7-year-old who decided someone was trustworthy. You came! Daddy said you were coming, but I wasn't sure. Of course I came, I promised, didn't I? Victoria hugged her back, looking only slightly overwhelmed by the enthusiasm. I heard you have a science project to show me? It's about ocean ecosystems. Want to see? They spent the next hour looking at Mia's poster board, covered in drawings of sharks and fish and coral reefs, her careful handwriting explaining food chains and symbiotic relationships. Victoria asked questions that showed she'd actually read Mia's emails, referencing specific facts about remora fish and sea anemones. Liam watched them together and felt something shift in his chest. This was his life now. His daughter and his girlfriend bonding over marine biology. Normal and strange and perfect. That evening, after they'd taken Mia to the Science Museum and gotten ice cream and come back exhausted and happy, Victoria helped put Mia to bed. His daughter insisted Victoria read the bedtime story, a book about whale sharks that she'd read approximately 1,000 times. Will you come back next weekend? Mia asked when Victoria finished. If your dad wants me to. He wants you to. He talks about you all the time. Mia yawned. I'm glad you're his girlfriend. You're nice. I'm glad I'm his girlfriend too. After Mia was asleep, Liam and Victoria sat on his couch, old and sagging, nothing like her furniture, and he waited for her to say something about his small apartment or his chaotic life. This is nice, she said instead. Nice? Having people. Being part of something that isn't work or strategy or performance. She leaned against him. I never thought I wanted this. A relationship, a family, the domestic routine. But being here with you and Mia, I don't want to leave. Then don't. Stay tonight. We'll make pancakes in the morning. Mia will love it. I don't know how to make pancakes. I'll teach you. Victoria stayed. They made pancakes in the morning. Victoria's first attempt was a disaster. Too much batter and not enough heat, but Mia declared them delicious anyway. They spent Sunday at the park, the three of them, and Liam took pictures on his phone of Victoria pushing Mia on the swings, both of them laughing. This was what happiness looked like. Messy and imperfect and absolutely real. Monday morning brought a new message from Marcus. Enjoy it while it lasts. You're going to fall eventually. I'll be there when you do. Liam deleted it without responding. Victoria was right. Marcus wasn't going to let this go. But Liam had something Marcus didn't. He had people who believed in him, who saw him for who he really was instead of who they wanted him to be. He had Victoria, he had Mia, and he had the absolute certainty that whatever Marcus threw at him, he could handle it. Because he wasn't alone anymore, and that made all the difference. Marcus's threats continued for 3 more weeks. Anonymous emails suggesting Liam was underqualified. Strategic questions in meetings designed to expose knowledge gaps. Small sabotages, files that went missing, meetings scheduled without Liam's input, credit for his work quietly redirected to others. Victoria noticed before Liam did. He's trying to build a case, she said over dinner at her apartment on a Tuesday evening. They'd fallen into a routine, 3 nights a week at her place, weekends at his with Mia. Document everything, every email, every incident. We're going to need it. I'm handling it. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're letting him undermine you. What do you want me to do? Go to HR again? Start a war in the office? Liam set down his fork, frustrated. I just survived one investigation. I'm not eager to invite another. So you're just going to let him win? I'm going to keep doing good work. Let the results speak for themselves. Victoria was quiet for a moment, studying him with that intensity he'd come to recognize as her processing something important. You know what I realized about you, Carter? You're so used to being invisible that you don't know how to fight when people actually see you. The observation hit harder than he expected. What's that supposed to mean? It means for years you survived by being beneath notice. The IT guy in the basement, the single dad who kept his head down and did his job. Invisible was safe. But now you're visible. You have authority, respect, a seat at the table. And you still haven't figured out how to protect what you've built. I protect it by doing good work. That's not enough. Not when people like Marcus are actively working to destroy you. She leaned forward. You need to stop being so afraid of taking up space, of asserting yourself, of actually fighting back. I'm not afraid. You're terrified. I can see it every time you deflect a compliment or minimize your accomplishments. You still don't believe you belong here. Liam stood, moved to the windows overlooking the city. His city now, in a way it hadn't been 6 months ago. Maybe I don't believe it because part of me agrees with Marcus, that I got here through luck and your favoritism instead of actual merit. That's bullshit and you know it. Do I? Because I can't look at my career trajectory and see anything but chaos. 6 months ago, I was resetting passwords. Now I'm a director making decisions that affect hundreds of people. How is that not suspicious? Victoria came to stand beside him. You want to know the real reason I promoted you? The honest truth? Please. Because you were already doing director-level work for technician-level pay. Because you solved problems other people couldn't solve. Because you cared about getting things right even when no one was watching. She turned him to face her. But mostly because you were the only person in that entire building who saw those photos and didn't try to use them against me. You passed a test of character, and everything after that was just giving you opportunities you'd already proven you could handle. That's not how Marcus sees it. Marcus is a mediocre talent with an overinflated ego who can't handle that someone he considered beneath him turned out to be better at the job. His opinion is irrelevant. His opinion is shared by others. I hear the whispers, see the looks. Then prove them wrong. Stop hiding behind humility and actually own what you've accomplished. Victoria's voice was fierce. You're a good father, a brilliant engineer, a natural leader. Start acting like it. Liam pulled her close, rested his forehead against hers. When did you get so good at pep talks? Since I fell in love with someone who needs to hear them. She kissed him softly. I love you, Carter. Even when you're being frustratingly self-deprecating. Maybe especially then. I love you too. Even when you're being terrifyingly right about my psychological issues. Someone has to be. They spent the rest of the evening tangled together on her couch, talking about everything except work. Victoria told him about her mother, a topic she rarely touched, and how she died when Victoria was 15, how her father had thrown himself into work afterward, leaving Victoria to raise herself. That's why I'm so bad at this, she said quietly. Relationships. Vulnerability. Letting people in. I learned early that people leave, that caring too much just means hurting more when they go. I'm not leaving. You can't promise that. No one can. I can promise to try, to show up, to choose you every day even when it's hard. Liam tightened his arms around her. That's all any of us can do. Try. Is that what you tell Mia when she asks about her mom? The question caught him off guard. They didn't talk about Sarah often. It felt like sacred ground neither of them wanted to disturb. I tell her that her mom loved her more than anything, that love doesn't end just because someone's gone, that it's okay to miss her and be happy at the same time. Do you believe that? That you can love Sarah and love me? I have to believe it, because I do love you. And I loved Sarah. They're different loves, different people, different versions of me. He looked at Victoria. Does that bother you? No, it makes me feel less guilty about being glad she's gone. Liam went still. Victoria, I don't mean it cruelly. I'm sorry for what you went through. Sorry for Mia losing her mother. But selfishly, if Sarah were still alive, you wouldn't be here with me. So part of me is glad for the circumstances that brought you into my life, even though those circumstances were tragic. The honesty was brutal and raw and exactly what Liam needed to hear. Because he'd been carrying guilt too. Guilt about moving on, about being happy, about building a life that didn't include Sarah. She would have liked you, he said. Sarah, she would have appreciated how you push me, challenge me, don't let me hide. I wish I could have met her. Me too. They fell asleep on the couch that night, wrapped around each other. Liam woke at 3 a.m. to his phone buzzing. Text from Jamie. Mia had a nightmare. She's asking for you. Can you come? He extracted himself carefully from Victoria's arms, left a note on the coffee table, and drove across town to Jamie's house. Found his daughter crying in his sister's guest room, clutching Mr. Chompers. Daddy! Hey, baby, I'm here. What happened? I had a dream about Mommy, that she came back but she didn't know who I was. Mia was sobbing, her small body shaking. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Liam's heart broke. That must have been scary. Do you think she'd forget me if she could see me now? No, sweetheart, never. You were the most important thing in her whole world. She could never forget you. But I'm forgetting her. I can't remember what her voice sounded like anymore, or how she smelled. I'm forgetting, and I don't want to forget. Liam held his daughter while she cried, his own eyes burning. This was the grief that never ended, the loss that kept finding new ways to hurt. It's okay to forget some things, he said when her sobs had quieted. Our brains can't hold on to everything, but the important parts, the love, that stays. That's in you always. Do you still love her? I do. Different than before, but yes. Do you love Ms. Hale? The shift in topic was so quintessentially Mia that Liam almost smiled. Yes, I love Victoria too. Is that allowed? To love two people? Yeah, baby. Love isn't a limited resource. You can love lots of people lots of different ways. Mia was quiet for a moment, processing. I love Victoria too. She's teaching me about marine biology and she listens when I talk and she makes you smile. She makes you smile too. Yeah, is she going to be my mom now? She's going to be Victoria. That's enough. You only get one mom, and that was Sarah. Victoria is something different, something new. I like new. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. He stayed with Mia until she fell back asleep, then crashed in Jamie's guest room for what was left of the night. His phone buzzed at 6 a.m. Victoria, you left. Everything okay? Liam. Mia had a nightmare. I'm at Jamie's. Sorry I didn't wake you. Victoria, don't apologize. That's what good fathers do. See you at work? Liam, yeah, coffee first though. Victoria, always. The Henderson pitch was scheduled for Thursday. 3 months of preparation coming down to a 90-minute presentation that would either establish the company as an industry leader or confirm Marcus's belief that Liam was a fraud. The night before, Victoria showed up at Liam's apartment with Thai food and unexpected nerves. What if we blow this, she asked, pacing his small living room while Mia did homework at the kitchen table. We won't. You don't know that? I know we've prepared. I know the technical architecture is solid. I know our team has put together the best pitch we're capable of. The rest is out of our control. I hate things being out of my control. I know, but sometimes that's where the best stuff happens. In the spaces we can't control. Victoria stopped pacing, looked at him. When did you get so wise? Around the time I had a 7-year-old who asked questions I couldn't answer, and a girlfriend who pushed me to be better than I thought I could be. Girlfriend seems like an inadequate word. What would you prefer? Partner. The person who makes me believe tomorrow might actually be better than today. Liam pulled her close, aware of Mia watching them with barely concealed interest from the kitchen table. Partner works. I like partner. The presentation went better than Liam expected and worse than Victoria hoped. The Henderson Group executives were impressed with the technical innovation, but concerned about implementation timelines. They wanted guarantees Liam couldn't give and assurances that required more data than they'd gathered. Marcus asked pointed questions designed to expose weaknesses. Liam answered honestly, admitting where they needed more research instead of bluffing confidence he didn't have. Afterward, in the empty conference room, Victoria looked defeated. We lost them. I could see it. The timeline concerns, the implementation questions, they're going to pass. We don't know that. I know when I'm being told no. They're just being polite about it. Chen poked his head in. Guys, the Henderson people want to meet with you privately. Conference room A. Now. Victoria and Liam exchanged looks. This was either very good or very bad. They found the Henderson Group's CEO, a woman named Rachel Kim, waiting with her CTO. Ms. Hale, Mr. Carter, thank you for the presentation. It was thorough and well prepared. Thank you, Victoria said carefully. We're happy to address any additional concerns you might have about. We want to move forward, Rachel interrupted. Pending contract negotiations, of course. But your proposal is exactly what we need. Mr. Carter's honesty about the limitations was refreshing. Too many vendors overpromise and underdeliver. You seem committed to the opposite. Liam felt the shock of it wash through him. You're saying yes? We're saying yes. Your technical director impressed us. The integrity of admitting what you don't know is rare in this industry. Rachel stood, extended her hand. We'll have our legal team reach out next week to start negotiations. After they left, Victoria grabbed Liam's arm so hard it would probably leave bruises. We did it. We actually did it. You sound surprised. I'm surprised. I was convinced we'd blown it. She laughed, slightly hysterical. You were right. Being honest worked. It usually does. People appreciate being treated like adults. The team celebrated at a bar downtown. Even Marcus showed up, though his congratulations were tight-lipped and his departure early. Chen bought a round of shots. Alicia gave a slightly drunk speech about teamwork and perseverance. Liam left early, wanting to tell Mia in person. Found his daughter and Jamie at home, watching a nature documentary about sharks. We got it. The Henderson account. Mia launched herself at him. You won. We won. The whole team. Does this mean you're staying at your job? That the mean people didn't win? Yeah, baby. I'm staying. The mean people didn't win. Later that night, after Mia was asleep, Victoria came over. They sat on his couch, still saggy, still worn, and she curled against him with the kind of comfortable intimacy that came from months of learning each other. I've been thinking, she said. About? About the future. About what we're building here. She shifted to look at him. I want more of this. More nights on your couch. More pancakes with Mia. More of you in my life in permanent ways instead of temporary ones. Liam's heart stuttered. What are you saying? I'm saying move in with me. You and Mia. My apartment has space. Better schools nearby. A doorman who can accept packages. Room for all of Mia's shark books. Victoria, that's huge. I know, and maybe it's too fast. We've only been together 6 months, but I'm 42 years old and I've never wanted this with anyone else. I don't want to waste time being cautious when I know what I want. What about Mia? This affects her too. Ask her. Let her decide if she wants to live in a fancy apartment with a woman who makes terrible pancakes but can teach her about cephalopods. Liam kissed her, slow and thorough and full of promise. I'll ask her. But Victoria, yeah. I want this too. Have wanted it for weeks but was afraid to say it. Afraid of moving too fast or asking for too much. We're both afraid of everything all the time. Might as well be afraid together. He asked Mia the next morning over breakfast. Victoria wants us to move in with her, to her apartment. What do you think? Mia's eyes went huge. The one with the big windows? That's the one. Can I bring all my shark books? Every single one. And Mr. Chomper's? Obviously. Then yes, 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 yes. She paused. Does this mean she's going to be my stepmom? Eventually, if that's okay with you. It's okay. But can she still be Victoria? I don't want to call her Mom. That's Mommy's name. Victoria is perfect. She'll always be Victoria. They moved in over a month, gradually integrating Liam's chaos into Victoria's order. Mia got her own room with windows overlooking the city and built-in shelves for her growing marine biology collection. Liam's clothes filled half of Victoria's enormous closet. Mr. Chomper's took up residence on the sectional couch. It wasn't smooth. Victoria struggled with the noise and mess of living with a 7-year-old. Liam struggled with feeling like he was invading her space. Mia had moments of missing their old apartment, the smallness and familiarity of it. But they figured it out. Slowly. With patience and compromise and the understanding that building a family was messy and imperfect and worth it. Marcus quit 6 weeks after they moved in, took a position at a competitor with a vague threat about seeing them on the other side. Victoria sent a gracious goodbye email and deleted his contact information immediately after. Think he'll cause problems? Liam asked. Probably. but he'll be someone else's problem now. You don't seem worried. I'm not. We survived an HR investigation and a sabotage campaign. We can handle whatever Marcus throws at us from outside the company. She was right. Marcus tried to poach clients, spread rumors about Victoria's management style, suggested to industry contacts that Liam's success was artificially inflated. None of it stuck. The work spoke for itself. The results were undeniable. 1 year after that first wrong click, Liam stood in a conference room presenting the annual review of his department's achievements. The room was full of executives and board members. Victoria sat in the back, her expression proud and professional. He talked about innovation and team growth and successful project delivery, about the Henderson account expanding into a long-term partnership, about the new hires they'd brought on and the culture they'd built. Afterward, the CEO pulled him aside. "Impressive work, Carter. We're creating a new VP of technology position. I want you to consider it." Liam's first instinct was to deflect, to say he wasn't qualified, to minimize the offer. But he thought about Victoria's words, about owning what he'd accomplished, about taking up space instead of apologizing for existing in it. "I'd be honored. When do you need a decision?" "Take a week. Think about it. This is a significant promotion." He found Victoria in her office afterward. "They offered me VP of Technology." She looked up from her computer, expression carefully neutral. "Are you taking it? Do you think I should?" "I think you've earned it. I think you'd be brilliant at it. I think you should stop asking permission and start trusting yourself." She stood, moved around her desk. "But I'm also your girlfriend, so I'm biased." "Good. I like that you're biased. Are you taking it?" "Yeah, I think I am." "Good, because you deserve it. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that." That weekend, they took Mia to the aquarium, their third visit that month. His daughter had grown 2 inches, and her marine biology knowledge had expanded exponentially. She spent an hour explaining to a group of tourists the difference between great white and tiger sharks, her confidence absolute. "She's going to be something special," Victoria said, watching Mia hold court by the shark tank. "She already is." "You know what I mean. She's going to change the world, save the oceans, discover new species." Victoria leaned against him. "You did that. Gave her the foundation to become whoever she wants to be. We did that. You're part of this now, part of raising her." "I love her. I didn't expect to. Didn't think I was capable of it. But I love that weird, brilliant, shark-obsessed kid." "She loves you too." That night, after Mia was asleep in a room full of marine biology posters and stuffed sharks, Liam found Victoria on the balcony overlooking the city. She was wrapped in a blanket against the autumn chill, staring at the lights. He joined her, pulled her close. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked. "When you clicked on that folder?" "All the time." "Do you wish it had happened differently?" "No, because every version where I don't click that folder is a version where I don't end up here. With you. With this life." Even knowing everything you've been through, the investigation, Marcus, the stress, especially because of that, the hard parts proved the good parts were real, that this wasn't just convenience or circumstance, but actual connection. Victoria turned in his arms to face him. "I have something to tell you, and you can't freak out." "That's a concerning preamble. I bought us a house." Liam blinked. "You what?" "A house. 4 bedrooms. Big backyard. Good school district. 10 minutes from here." She was talking fast, nervous. "I know we just moved in together. I know this is fast, but this apartment isn't set up for a family long term. Mia needs space to grow. Maybe siblings eventually, if that's something you want. And I found this perfect place and made an offer, and they accepted, and..." Liam kissed her, cut off the nervous rambling with his lips. "A house," he said when they broke apart. "You bought us a house. Are you mad? I'm terrified and thrilled and completely in love with you." "Is that a yes?" "That's a yes. Show me pictures." They spent the next hour looking at photos on her phone. A craftsman with a front porch and windows that let in natural light. A yard where Mia could play. An office for Liam. A study for Victoria. Room for all the chaos and order they brought to each other's lives. "When can we move in?" 2 months. After renovations. Victoria pulled out another folder. Because of course she had a folder. "I had them add a built-in aquarium for Mia. Salt water. Big enough for the species she's always talking about." Liam looked at this woman who'd bought them a house and installed an aquarium for his daughter and planned a future he'd never dared to imagine. "Marry me," he said. Victoria went still. "What?" "Marry me. I know I don't have a ring. I know this isn't romantic, but I know I want to spend the rest of my life with you, building this weird, imperfect, beautiful family we're creating." "Carter, you don't have to." "I want to. I love you. Mia loves you. We're already a family in every way that matters. Let's make it official." "You're sure?" "Because I'm difficult and controlling, and I've never been married before, and I might be terrible at it." "I'm sure." "Are you?" Victoria's eyes were bright. "Yes, yeah, absolutely yes." They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony with just family and close friends. Mia was the flower girl, wearing a dress covered in tiny embroidered sharks that Victoria had commissioned specially. Jamie cried through the entire ceremony. Chen and Alicia came with the whole team. Marcus sent a card. Victoria threw it away unopened. Standing at the altar, watching Victoria walk toward him, Liam thought about that night in her office. The wrong click that had changed everything. The moment of panic that had transformed into the best thing that ever happened to him. "Hi," Victoria whispered when she reached him. "Hi," he whispered back. The officiant began speaking. Liam barely heard the words. He was too focused on Victoria's face, on Mia grinning in the front row, on the impossible, improbable path that had led him here. Later, at the reception, Victoria pulled him onto the dance floor. They swayed together while Mia danced with Jamie nearby. "What are you thinking?" Victoria asked. "That I spent 3 years invisible, surviving instead of living. And then you saw me. You saw me first. That's what mattered. We saw each other." "Yeah, we did." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Thank you." "For what?" "For clicking that folder, for being honest, for showing up every day even when it was hard, for giving me a family I didn't know I wanted. Thank you for testing me, for pushing me, for loving me even when I didn't think I deserved it. You always deserved it. You just needed someone to help you see it." They danced until the song ended, then another started, and they kept dancing. Mia joined them, the three of them together on the dance floor. A family built from wrong clicks and right choices and the courage to be seen. 5 years later, Liam stood in their backyard watching Mia, now 13 and already taller than Victoria, explain marine conservation to her younger brother. Marcus Jr. was 5 and obsessed with dinosaurs instead of sharks, much to his sister's consternation. Victoria came out with lemonade, settled beside him on the porch swing. "You're thinking too loud," she said, just remembering. "That night, every moment that led us here." "Any regrets?" "Not a single one." Marcus, the original Marcus, had indeed caused problems for a few years. Tried to undermine their company, poach clients, spread rumors. But eventually, he'd faded into irrelevance, his mediocrity catching up with his ambition. Liam had become VP of Technology, then CTO. Victoria had moved to CEO when the board forced out the previous leadership. They'd built something together. Not just a company, but a partnership, a life. "Daddy?" Mia called from the yard. "Come explain the Mariana Trench to Marcus. He doesn't believe me about the pressure." "You explain it," Liam called back. "You know more than I do." "But he listens to you." "Then make him listen to you. Use your knowledge. Be confident." Mia rolled her eyes, but turned back to her brother with renewed determination. Victoria laughed. "She's you, brilliant and self-doubting and needing someone to tell her she's already good enough. She's us, your intelligence, my insecurity, and a healthy dose of her own personality. I like who she's becoming." "Me too." That night, after the kids were asleep and the house was quiet, Liam found Victoria in their study working on quarterly reports. He pulled her away from the computer, led her to their bedroom. "What are you doing?" "Reminding you that life exists outside of spreadsheets." "I know that. I have 2 children as evidence." "Then act like it. Close the laptop. Be present." Victoria smiled. "Is this you being assertive, taking up space, demanding what you want?" "Yeah, it took me long enough, but I figured it out. You were right. I needed to stop apologizing for existing. I'm always right. Mostly right. I'll take it." She closed the laptop, took his hand. "What did you have in mind?" "Nothing fancy. Just us, talking, being together." They lay in bed talking about everything and nothing. About Mia's college plans. She wanted to study marine biology at Scripps, naturally. About Marcus Jr.'s latest dinosaur phase. About the company and future plans and retirement dreams. Do you ever miss it? Victoria asked. The simplicity of before? When you were just the IT guy and life was uncomplicated? No, life wasn't simple then. It was just smaller, more limited. I was surviving, not living. And now? Now I'm living, really living, with you and Mia and Marcus and this chaotic, beautiful life we've built. Even with all the complications, the pressure, the visibility, especially because of that. Because being seen means mattering, having impact, making a difference. He pulled her closer. You taught me that. That being invisible isn't safety. It's just another form of not existing. You taught me something too. What's that? That being vulnerable isn't weakness. That letting someone in doesn't mean losing control. That love, real love, is worth the risk of getting hurt. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, the way they had for years, the way they would for years to come. Because that wrong click, that accidental invasion of privacy, had taught them both something essential. That the moments that change your life aren't always the ones you plan for. Sometimes they're the mistakes, the accidents, the times when you click the wrong folder and see something you weren't supposed to see. And sometimes those moments lead exactly where you needed to go all along, to being seen, to being known, to being loved for exactly who you are, flaws and fears, and all the messy, complicated parts of being human. Liam had spent 3 years invisible, and then Victoria Hale had asked him a simple question. Do you think I'm pretty? He'd answered honestly, and that honesty had rewritten his entire life. Not perfectly, not smoothly, but real. And real was always enough.